Good evening. I would like to call to order the Board of Library Trustees for the Arlington Heights Memorial Library regular board meeting on this Tuesday, February 20th, 2024. Got it?
Yeah.
Okay, may I have a roll call, please?
Trustee Burrell. Here. Okay. Trustee Gala.
Here.
Trustee Kelly.
Here.
Trustee Meadow.
Here.
Trustee Rule is currently not here. Trustee Zick.
Here.
President Samari.
Here. We could stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Do we have any public comment? We do not. Okay. Do we have liaison reports?
I did not hear back from the Friends, but I do have a liaison report from the foundation. Let's see. Lori says, our January fundraiser date night, just the two of us, was a lot of fun. It was a demonstration by library staff member Jorge Solis, who volunteered his time in support of the foundation. He prepared steak two ways, creamy mashed potatoes and roasted asparagus. All attendees were given a taste of the meal. Chocolate dipped strawberries and chocolate candy were the dessert supplied by Kilwins. Everyone went home with the recipes in a heart-shaped mold for butter or chocolate making from the vacuum former. So I attended this event. It was awesome. The steak was great. My potatoes were phenomenal. And I ended up making all of the things that Jorge made at home, and they all turned out great. And I even made heart-shaped chocolates with the mold that we were able to take home. So really great event. So thanks to Jorge for stepping up to it. Let's see. We are celebrating International Women's Day on March 8th, showcasing local women entrepreneurs and what they do. We'll also be demonstrating some of the equipment at the Maker Place, and a swag bag will contain blank items to bring back to the Maker Place and create their own products. As of last Monday, our scholarship for the trades has received 95 visits, lasting an average more than 3.5 minutes. And this winter has been spent in meeting with our advisory team one-on-one to share the impact report, new scholarship flyer, and our latest campaign for fundraising for the new bookmobile. So Lori says, if you have any questions, please feel free to contact her.
I will say I've seen a lot on social media about both International Women's Day and about the scholarship program. So that's great. I know they're doing a lot of outreach, which is terrific. All right. On to approving the minutes from our meeting from January 16th. Any a second? Yes. A second. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Right. Okay. How about looking at our financial report for the period ending January 31st?
Okay. For revenue, there was no real estate tax revenue recognized in the month of January. While there may be some cash collected in January from the second installment tax bill, this will be booked as an adjustment to 2023 for accounting purposes, since that is a period in which the revenue relates. The library received personal property replacement taxes in the amount of $32,480.23 this month. Our copier printer revenue totaled $3,378.34. Our meeting room fees were $175. Lost item charges totaled $1,058.97. Our January interest income was $31,849.03. Other income was $817.22. Revenue collected for vehicle stickers totaled $274. Our makerspace revenue was $327.44. And the total revenue collected in January was $70,512.77. On the expense side, 8% of the fiscal year has lapsed, and we have expensed 11% of our total operating budget. Note that in January, prepaid expenses for annual contracts, such as insurance premiums for the new year and commodities, are typically higher than the rest of the year, yielding expense percentages greater than the lapsed annual percentage. Let's see. So, for example, on page 1 of the expenditure report, you'll see $170,000 recorded for the library's 2024 property and casualty and workers' comp insurance coverages. We only make one payment for these premiums for the year. It happens at the beginning of the year, so that's why that amount would be overexpended at this point in the year. Also, on page 1 of the expenditure report, you'll see a negative amount in the medical insurance line. This is because the village is not yet done with their January journal entries. This is not unusual for this time of year, and they're in the middle of the year end, so they are still working on the entries as of the date of this meeting. They are currently using 2023 numbers as a placeholder, and this will true up over the next couple of weeks after this meeting. So as a reminder, we will be at or below budget for medical insurance for 2024. And then 2% of our total capital budget has been expensed as of January. The costs on the dashboard for the lockers and the Kids World projects represent amounts being paid out of the 2024 budget. Any expenditures for work done on these projects during 2023 are taken out of the 2023 funds, but to that extent, any work on these projects that spills over into 2024, we're required to take those funds out of 2024. So Kids World had a piece of furniture or something that came in. It was delayed shipping, so that came in after January 1st. And then the lockers, we had to have some electrical work done for the location that we put them in. So those two things spilled over into 2024. Let's see. Any unbudgeted expenditures related to those would, of course, come to the board for approval if that were the case, if it was over $10,000. So I think that's it for the financial report. You guys have any questions about anything?
I just had one question on page 3, and I believe it's the marketing. Were there 2 issues of the newsletter printed? It looked like 2 issues to me, like maybe the girl came early.
Or I think either one of the bills came early or one of them came late.
Oh, okay.
For January.
Gotcha. That's what just want to make sure. Anyone else? Right. How about the register?
Okay. I had just a few questions on the check register. Page 6, check 101940 to Cardinal Color Group, and this kind of speaks to your question, Amy. It's the amount of $14,082.13. That is for printing costs for our February newsletter. Costs for our January newsletter were already paid in the previous warrant. So while you will not see both payments in this check register, you do see both reflected in the expenditure report that you were asking. On page 9 and page 12, check 101928 to AV Systems for the amount of $19,681.70. That is our final payment for the new AV system in the Hendrickson room. These costs were incurred in 2023 and therefore booked in the 2023 budget year. Our friends at the library have already generously reimbursed the library for the majority of the project costs and will provide additional reimbursement for a portion of the final expenditures in the upcoming month. And then on page 10, check 101981 to Illinois Government Finance Officers Association, the amount of $20. That's registration for the February 29th virtual training for our finance team on unclaimed property reporting for local government. Rarely, we will have a check payment to a visitor sit uncashed, despite efforts to contact them. And when this happens, we are required to turn those funds over to the state after a certain period of time. That is everything I had for the check register, but if you guys have any questions.
Then I move the approval for the accounts payable check register for the Arlington Heights Memorial Library for January 31st, 2024 in the amount of $882,996.29.
Second. May I have a roll call, please?
Trustee Burrell,
Yes.
trustee Gala,
Yes.
trustee Kelly, trustee Meadow,
Yes.
trustee Zick,
Yes.
president Smart.
Yes. Right. Executive Director's Report.
Okay, as you can see, this month we have a new layout for our director's report. This is kind of a result of conversations happening at the board meetings about making this report more public. We talked about this internally, and while we completely agree with making it more public, we thought that it probably needed a facelift before we broadcast it, more so than we are currently. So thank you to Sasha and the graphics team for revamping this layout. The content will likely, remain similar to what you've seen in the past. It's just going to be organized a little bit differently. One thing that I want to point out with this is, as you're going through the director's report, you'll see on the left side the goal number. So these, all of these things we try to organize based on our goals that are outlined in the strategic plan. So that's that. You guys have any questions before I go through?
Looks terrific. I really like the goals. That's helpful.
So Dana Rivia and Sasha worked on this pretty extensively with our management team, and we're trying to streamline this whole process internally. And then Brian Benson, our graphic designer, and his team really worked out the layout. And so big thanks to them for all the work on this.
Is this something that we would just put on the website, or would we email blast it to anybody, or what do we do with it?
It's going to be on the website. What we're planning is to have it a little bit more prominently on the website, like on the homepage, maybe a news item following the board meetings for a week or so. We haven't exactly determined what we're going to do, but that's probably where we're going to start looking. All right, and I'm going to run through a few of these the items here. So on the first page, the spotlight, our Kids World celebration was a big hit. So we did welcome customers to our newly refreshed Kids World in early January. Over the two sessions, we had a morning session and an afternoon session. We had 532 customers come by and check out the new space. They explored defined areas for early learners, beginning readers, and tweens, as well as the family interactive area featuring the Everbright and floor projection system. The Everbright was, of course, donated by our foundation, and the floor projection system donated by our friends. Customers were engaged by customizing tote bags in the Lindsay room and meeting Clifford the Big Red Dog. And the refresh was covered by local media, including the Daily Herald, Arlington Post, and Suburb Talk. Then on page 2, highlight the Community Connections group. So Catalina, our community engagement liaison, is a member of the Arlington Heights Community Connections group. This group consists of the Village of Arlington Heights, Park District, Harper College, and schools, as well as ourselves. The goal of the group is to identify and address gaps and needs in the community. This collaborative effort resulted in the creation of an e-newsletter offering residents a convenient glimpse into the the diverse array of activities, programs, and resources available in Arlington Heights. Residents are encouraged to sign up for the e-newsletter on the village's website. And on the next page, our Info Services Advisor, Diane Malik, was nominated for Chamber Member of the Year at this year's annual awards gala hosted by the Arlington Heights Chamber of Commerce. She was recognized by the business community for her dedication and valuable work. Diane said, "Although I remain a nominee and didn't receive the Chamber Member of the Year award, it is still a recognition that I remain very proud of and am extremely grateful for it. It made it more special to have so many from AHML there cheering me on. So congratulations to Diane for being nominated for that." On the same page, our youth services staff and info services librarians presented database user instruction to St. Viator High School students for 8 American literature and AP language and composition classes. Over 2 days, staff provided training and research tips to 176 juniors to support their upcoming research week. Then on the bottom of that page, we highlight a few staff working outside the library walls. Our youth services supervisor, Rebecca King, served on the Newberry Awards Committee. Our collection supervisor, Cindy Hammond, served on YALSA's Awards Committee for Excellence in Nonfiction Metal. Our youth services manager, Trixie Dantis, was elected to the Laconia Youth Services Section Advisory Board. Our early learning librarian, Allison Parker, who is co-chair of Laconia Recharge, was appointed as a Laconia Governing Board Treasurer. Our collection services manager, Lisa Babas, is now on the Laconia Recharge Section Advisory Board. And our community and circulation services manager, Shannon Meyer, was reelected as treasurer to the Laconia Circulation Services Advisory Board. So a lot of people working outside of our walls in the library industry. On page 4, 42 customers attended the 9th annual Readers Party hosted by the Info Services Department. Guest speaker Alice Moody shared 10 books she recommends, followed by a book fair where customers could meet with Info Services Advisor browse different genres, and connect with other readers in the community. Chris Kruger, our Makerplace branch assistant manager, collaborated with Info Services to boost Makerspace visibility as well. Esther, our Makerplace advisor, created 80 iron on vinyl stickers for the tote bags for the attendees received. Beth, our Makerplace and digital services advisor, worked the heat transfer vinyl table at the event and helped 42 attendees make their own iron on vinyl tote bags. The Makerplace's collaboration also fulfills goal 3 of the strategic plan, in addition to 2. Then on page 5, after a year of successful Inspired by Art Nights, the program has expanded into 2 monthly sessions. In January, 12 customers attended the afternoon session and 19 attended the evening session. Both sessions learned about the glasswork of Chulili and created watercolor paintings inspired by his work. The customer said, "I love this class for the content, the organization, and the planning, and the companionship." And on page 7, the library continues to strengthen its community partnership with Journeys, the Road Home, striving to support individuals in our community who face the challenges in accessing food and shelter during the cold season. Catalina, our community engagement liaison, collaborated with the Programs and Exhibits Department to prepare meals for pad sites in the community at the Makerplace Kitchen. This collaboration underscores our commitment to serving those in need and fostering a stronger, more resilient community. Right, on page 9. In early August, in anticipation of the Kids World refresh, approximately 400 Kids World holiday movies were interfiled with the rest of the Kids World movies. By shelving all of the Kids World movies together, customers now have easier access to films with their favorite characters all in one spot. Before interfiling the movies, the kids' holiday movies averaged 104 circulations per month. After interfiling the movies, the kids' holiday movies averaged 494 circulations per month. So just wanted to point out that move as part of the redesign that, helps to make that stuff more accessible. And we see, in the numbers there that we're seeing a definite improvement.
So is that something you anticipated happening, or just it happened because, if they like Clifford, now they see the Clifford Christmas, Valentine's, whatever.
Yeah, that was intentional to
Yeah.
make those more available
Right.
in the
Yeah,
collection.
it's
called out.
interesting just to change like simple
Yeah.
change like that.
So that's all I had. Anybody have any questions, comments?
I love this. I mean, I think it would be fabulous if it was on the front page for a while, but then as part of your director's report, for people that actually click what's new or
Yeah.
to go through where they can see all our meeting agendas and all that, it'll be
Yeah,
there.
it'll
as
still
well.
be there.
Yeah. But I do think, the graphics and everything, again, I just think people don't always know all the things that happen here, even though they get the newsletter. I'm constantly running into people that don't know what goes on all the time. So
Alright.
wonderful. Thank you.
Okay, so next up, I'd like to invite our digital services librarian, Bill Pardue, to present a demonstration of our new comprehensive mapping, analytics, and digital visualization tool called Simply Analytics. So Bill, please. Come on.
What do you see on that screen? Or?
Yeah,
Okay.
there might be a little bit of a delay on that screen,
Okay.
but I'm going to share the presentation first.
Okay.
And then, when you go to
I'll
do
talk
the
through this and then
demo,
we'll go live to the
let me just hide this real quick. Okay, it was all yours. I'm going to
Okay, great. All right. Hi, I'm Bill Pardue. I'm the digital actually my main role here is to manage the relationship with our various vendors who sell online products, databases, research tools that people use traditionally for things like stocks, mutual funds, or looking at health information, things like that. And we have recently subscribed to a product called Simply Analytics. And we're going to take a little overview of it. And then, fingers crossed, I'm going to do some live play with it and see if we can get some flashy results out of it. And get everybody a sense of what it can be used for. So first of all, what is this? What is it? It's a brand name, it's a product. It's an online resource that focuses on letting you letting you create statistical demographic maps, tables, reports for geographic areas. So you pick a town, a zip code, whatever, and you have a wide range of data to choose from. Over 100,000 data points are available in one way or another. I am not going to try and cover them all tonight. We're going to have a little bit of fun, but 99.99% of the data points will still be in the thing. The important thing, we were kind of interested in it from a staff side to begin with, but it's also, I mean, libraries primarily pick this up as a product for the public. And we'll talk about, who we're thinking about as we're doing this, but it's available through our website. Now, in terms of the geographic coverage, you can dive down to a lot of different levels. You can look at information at a national level, state, county, all the way down to the census tract and census block group levels. If you play with it the right way, you can even get things like school district information. So there's a lot of different ways to sort of slice that information up so that you can look at very specific areas. So, and what kinds of data in it? So there's the geographic part of it, but what is what are the types of variables in it? So first of all, you've got a lot of information that's based on kind of what the government collects, the census, the American Community Survey, the census obviously being the 10-year comprehensive counting of population and gathering of statistics about Americans, and things like housing information, cost, occupancy, things like that. There's also data from the American Community Survey, which is a more frequent sampling exercise. So it's based on estimates, but they're very good estimates that a lot of organizations use to gauge trends in demographics between censuses, because obviously 10 years, the census is out of date the second it comes out. A lot of people count on the American Community Survey that comes out, I think, every 2 years or so, that for more up-to-date information. And it variables like age, ancestry, children, insurance coverage, things like that. So
I just got one at home, actually, and
I've never actually gotten one myself.
I hadn't gotten one before either. It was very specific about, just everything. I thought it was interesting, but I've never heard of it before.
Yeah. And then so that's the government side of it. And then there's also some really great proprietary information here. And this is where it starts. I mean, going back to the census stuff, any user could go around and go to all of these different sites and dig through the census site and pull out a lot of this information. However, the value of something like Simply Analytics is the aggregation of this information in a very easy to use tool, so that you don't have to sort of figure out all the complexities of the various different census sites and figure out where in the world is this information kept. It's all kind of worked into Simply Analytics. When we get to these proprietary things like Nielsen, I'm guessing at least a few people here have heard of market segments, market segmentation. They incorporate Nielsen's Prism market segmentation. This is a way of sort of putting people in, and it sounds a little cynical, but they have created a matrix of personas, psychographic personas that we all, one way or another, kind of fit into, at least to some percentage. And they look at our spending habits and home ownership and educational achievement and where do our political and religious beliefs fit into. And they kind of create these groups that can be, that have similarities across them. And they give them these great names like American Dreams or Kids in Cul-de-sacs, New Beginnings. I'm not going to bring up the whole document. Actually, if you want to pass it around a little later, I do have this a list, a printout of all of the different Nielsen Prism market segment narratives. We'll pass it around for fun reading at some point. I just have one sample up here of the kids in cul-de-sacs. And now, while we all sort of fit into the, or the Nielsen fits us into things like this, and other companies do this too. Experian has a segmentation process called Mosaics. So there are similar products like that out there. We're not looking at you individually in any of this and trying to fit you into these boxes. These are still these are aggregate at the block group level or tract level, census tract level. So we're not looking individually at it. I can't look up someone specifically and see where they fit, but we can see in a block group or a census tract or a zip code, whatever, what percentage of people, what percentage of households, because we're actually speaking at the household level here, fit into these various different marketing segments. So this is something, a lot of businesses will use, and now a lot of our customers have access to this as well. And then also, of course, Experian can't be kept out of this game. They have a lot of variables related to consumer expenditures that are worked into this. Once again, applied aggregate at the zip code level, etc. So for information on, and I'm just touching on it here: travel expenditures, cooking, food. Some of this gets very granular. It's not just pet food; it may be cat food, and which brand of cat food, and how much are we spending on that much in this particular census tract, things like that. So some really deep dives that people can do if they're interested in going that far into it. So quite a few really interesting ways to go. So who are we looking at? Well, part of it is we got it for ourselves a little bit, but I mean, we did purchase it as a public product. So it's, as I said, available through our website. We're looking at entrepreneurs, local businesses who are considering how to target their services. I have pet services. I'd like to know what's the percentage of pet ownership in different areas. And if I'm a wine shop, what are the wine expenditures? Things like that. We also believe that nonprofit organizations could use this to better understand their communities. So in this case, I'm looking at things like, and as I showed you a map, we can also do tabular displays here. So, things like educational attainment, we can compare communities. I'm looking at things like unemployment levels, poverty levels, things like that. And we can do comparisons across communities as well. Of course, we might look at this ourselves. I'm making a push to make sure that a lot of the staff and administration at the library know about this product as well. And if not explicitly how to use it in depth, at least know that it's there or what its potential is. So, we can, we'll talk about this a little bit. We were able to look at, population in the north and south sections of Arlington Heights, and kind of create special zones doing that. In fact, so some of the ways we've used it here in the library already. In fact, during the product trial process, we did some of this as well. We got the population numbers north of Palatine versus south of Central based on census block groups. I had a question from a staff member about the percentage of males 65 plus in Arlington Heights with college degrees broken down by census tract. I thought that was a great question. And then our own Diane Malik was working with the customer, identify areas of Arlington Heights with higher proportions of residents over 65. She also asked recently about, she had a customer looking for percents of households that own pets. I was actually able to break it down by cat owners versus dog owners, and get bird owners in there too. It's, so, but those were the big two. I think the conclusion is that we're ever so slightly a cat town. I'm not sure. I think maybe. I'm trying to remember because it was a little tricky. Yeah. And for my own interest, I was looking at like relative. They have things like percentage of residents or percentage of households with a tablet or e-reader. So these are all potentially interesting things that can inform different decisions that we make or that different organizations in our community would make. So there are chances to learn more. I'm not going to do a deep dive into using it. Tomorrow evening, we have a program called the Intro to Simply Analytics being taught by Juan Vasquez, our rep from Simply Analytics, and it is going to be recorded. It looks like, hoping everybody who signed up shows up. We've got about 32 names so far on it, but if this is of interest to you, you want to see what you can get out of this product, certainly feel free to either attend this or eventually we'll have this up as a recorded demo as well, so that you can learn more of a deep dive. There's also considerable amount of support material built into the product itself. So, and then the other thing is, this is not a product, just one thing by itself trying to carry all the weight of this idea. We have several products that we either subscribe to or link to that we feel are complementary. So one of the ones we picked up recently is a great tool called Size Up Arlington Heights. Size Up it looks a little similar in that it's based on a lot of demographic information. And it's got a lot of business demographics in it, specifically in terms of like pay levels or how much you're paying for insurance. What you do is you go in as a business owner or someone who wants to open a business and put in either actual or projected, say things like, what do I project my revenue to be? Or what do I project my payments, my salaries to be? How much do I expect to spend on insurance and benefits, et cetera, et cetera. And then it benchmarks you against other businesses in the region to tell you whether you're above or below those benchmarks. And you go through it's a process, and you go through it. There's a little commitment to getting through the process, and then it creates it outputs a report for you. And it's the kind of thing that you potentially would say take to your funding sources to sort of say, hey, here's what the outlook is for us compared to other businesses in this area. So we're really looking into things like that. We've also started linking to more of what we call open source data. Things like census.gov, obviously, data.gov, which is what they call open data. These are sources. These are not just census information, but it's actually posted in a way that's easily incorporated into products like Excel or various tools. Data.illinois.gov, things like that. And we picked up enough of those that we've actually created a data analytics category on our website. So we feel like there's enough there to support people who want to kind of just have all of those in one sandbox, as it were.
Are these part of Simply Analytics, or these?
No, these are different products. So just
different ones. Okay.
yeah, so these are different things that. I didn't point out Reference Solutions. Most people use that as a business directory database, but it's also got a section of it called Consumer Insights that will do some analytics based on their consumers and lifestyles. Things like magazine purchasers. You can target areas who that match certain consumer characteristics. So a lot of tools now for people who are trying to sort of really analyze the area for their purposes. Yeah. So yeah, just to the idea that we're building up a portfolio of these products that are potentially quite useful to people.
So you've totally been to Bears and you've shown them why Arlington Heights.
Give me 10 minutes with that.
I'm not to bring up anything controversial.
So I will need the keyboard.
Yep. I'll trade you for a second.
Okay. Or actually, if I came over there, because I think it's going to be a little easier. Would that work okay?
Yeah. Here, how about you want to?
Oh, fantastic.
This is so interesting.
Oh, thank you.
Very.
I want you to come out of here feeling like a kid in a candy store.
I would
I just, like they're talking about like dog food. I'm like, okay, well, I buy specialty dog food, prescription dog food, something like that. I'm like, how do they track that? How do they know that? I mean, because like I'm not the only one.
You use a credit card?
Yeah, I gotta have your points.
I mean, yeah, if you live an entirely cash existence, then you're off the grid a little bit in terms of these things. But all this is based on, yeah. And then there's also records based on, whoops. I know there are records based on your utility bills and all this kind of stuff. So very little is as private as you think.
How do you get to this part?
Okay, so this is under the research, all databases. And then what you've got when you get to that page is a few featured databases that change every month. You've got a long list that if you know the database that you're looking for by name, you can go and click on the alphabetic header to get to that. And then on the left-hand side, we break it down by subject. Most libraries are doing something like this. So there's an A to Z and there's a subject breakdown because more and more libraries are getting these long lists of databases. And I'll just go right to our data and analytics category.
Do we need a library card to access this?
If you're inside the library, it's yours to use as much as you'd like. If you're working from home or office, you're going to need a library card. It's going to go through. So either you can log into our site first with your username and password. And then once you're logged into that, that kind of is your path into the databases. Or when you click on it, if you're not logged in already, it'll prompt you for the username and password. So that's most of our products. There are a few outliers in that. So within the data and analytics, there's simply analytics right there. And when you first go in, it asks you to create a free username and profile. So you can sign in as a guest and do that. The create an account, I do recommend because that lets you save your work and come back to it later. So this isn't just you can use it as a grab and go kind of thing, but the idea here for a lot of folks is that you're going to use this again and come back to it later. So we have one that we've set up for. So I can type. Oh, good. It let me in. I'm not going to see it. No. Okay. So I'm actually going to delete it. It's called it asks you to create a project. And the first step of the project is, where are you looking? Well, where should I look at first? How about Arlington Heights? And look, did you know there were this many Arlington Heights? And I'm going to say next. Now it's going to give me a few quick things to choose from. I'm actually, for our purposes, going to just create the project without seed variables because I want to look at the different kinds of views it gives you. So you can do maps, comparison tables, ranking tables, quick reports, and all kinds of things, even down to scatter plots and histograms, which I have not played with myself, but I'm mostly up in these maps and ranking tables and things like that. I'm going to start with a map. So we're told that we're working in Arlington Heights. And if I want to give this a project name, if I want to change that, I can call it board demo. There we go. I'm going to create a map. Now I've created Arlington Heights. I have not chosen any data. It also has like a business directory function. It's a little beyond what we'll get to today. But under the data, I'm going to actually I can do it a number of different ways. I can search for it by keyword. I can also go through these categories to look for different types of data. I'm just going to go into the popular data to start with. And there are, even just in the population category, there's a lot of things here. And I'm going to go and pick income. And we're going to just take median household income based on a government source called Community Demographics. And if I'm ever interested in what that is, I can click on these three dots and I can do what's called view metadata. And I can get a little bit, so it's simply looks at US Census Bureau. It's taken from the American Community Survey. So I can always see what my source of data is. And that's all I'll work with for now. And if I'm happy with what's going to be on my map, I can say done. I get a nice map of Arlington Heights, and I get all these blocks. It immediately, in this case, goes to the census tract level. Now, little tricks I've learned, you're going to go and tell it to apply what's called the location mask. So that hides the data for all the surrounding areas if I want to. And maybe I want something a little more granular than census tract. So I'm going to change it to block groups. And I can zoom in to my block groups. See different areas, but it automatically assigns quartiles over here. I'm not a statistics expert, but I know the word quartiles is important. And if I need to edit that, I can actually click here and change it if I want. It gives me automatically 5 categories, but if I needed, once again, a bit more granularity, I can go to 8 or 9 categories, go back to 5. Or I want my color scheme to be different, that's in there as well too. Say done here, but I'm going to stick with this. Each area that I click on, if I go to this little information logo and change my icon to a little question mark, it can show me that particular block group, what the specific information is for that. Go back to my little dragging hand here. If I wanted to maybe do a little more than this, I've got my median household income, got my levels here, but maybe I would like to throw something else in there. I'll go to my data search right up here, the search box, put in the word wine, and I'll put in the household average for wine. And now I have household average spending for wine by block group based on 21.
Is that over a year or a day?
This, well,
This is based on the credit card sales.
yeah, I think that this is mostly going to track down to.
My cash committee.
That's not your bar tab.
Remember, these are averages.
So is block group something designated by the Census Bureau?
Yes, I had to look that up quickly. It's block groups represent anything, groups that are, I think, anywhere between 600 and 1,300 people. And then there are census blocks themselves, which are smaller, but this doesn't get down that small. But so a block group is, and then a census tract is the next size up from there.
Let me ask you something stupid here. So I see up there it says 2021 by block.
Yes.
Okay, so that's 2021 data. Does it show over, it had data that goes back and you can show like what it was in 2021,
If they-
2019?
If they have it, there is a timeline option. There's 2 options for these. So the maps are necessarily, you're showing one variable at a time. You can't sort of show a timeline on
Okay.
that per se. When we get into the tables, you can incorporate timeline type data. And if they have timeline information, that can be worked into.
Okay.
In fact, one of my things as we go down, I'll show you time series on one of the variables. And then there's also the ability even for these maps, you can turn on the historical data. I think they turn that off to begin with as a default so that you're not being overwhelmed with the amount of data. But if you turn on the historical data, then you could pick not just wine, but it would be wine 2019, wine 2017, things like that. Let's see. So I've changed it to alcoholic beverages. Up here, I've got these little controls. I can switch back and forth between household income and alcoholic beverages if I want to. That's great. And then also, when I create a map, it gives me these 2 extra little things on the right-hand side. I can switch from my map to something called a comparison table. There's not much to see in there yet, so we're not going to worry about the comparison table. But I can go to the rankings. And the ranking, well, that's by zip codes, but I can go by, I can go by block groups here. And I can rank my block groups if I want to. Click on that. And I'll just say sort largest to smallest. It's thinking. Yeah, it's being a little slow at the moment. Now, any of these data tables are exportable. So if I wanted to, so this is household, it's median income. Now I have to do a little thing. It by default, it's going to just the first variable I chose. I can edit my done. I can edit my table to rank both of them here, so I can look for correlations between household income and wine spending. So I can start doing a lot of interesting stuff here. Now I can also, I'm going to go to my comparison table. Well, I don't really, I've got, and I've got, let's just stick with household income for the moment. I've got $107,000 median household income for Arlington Heights as a whole. I've got the USA. Well, that's an interesting number, but I want to be a little more local. So I'm going to, first of all, in my comparison table, I'm going to edit that real fast. I'm going to take the USA out of it. Not that I don't want the USA there, but it's just cluttering it up for me. But over here, I'm going to go to my locations and I'm going to search Wheeling. And then I'll also put Palatine. Okay, well, that's nice. So this is our median household income, 2023. And let's beef up our comparisons a little bit here. I'm going to edit this again, and I'm going to include both the median household income and the alcoholic beverages. And so while they have lower household income, they do spend a little bit more on wine. So, and then in my data, let's do one more thing. Let's go ahead and do, let's do pet ownership. And this is quite, it even asks you like, how many pets do you have in your household? So I'm actually going to take this last one, which is percent household products pets. And that is, let me just see, is this the, yeah, this is the Simmons local data. Yeah, so this is, we're starting to get proprietary data here. Percent household products, pets, pet ownership, number and household, any pet, any. So
What's the difference between that one and the one right above it?
So that's the number of pets.
Oh, I didn't see
A number of
that.
households with
Sorry.
pets versus, and sometimes you'll want one, and sometimes you might want the other. So
I just
when
didn't
we
see
were
that.
asked about they didn't have a direct number of like when we did the 65 plus with college degrees, they didn't have that number itself. But I was able in each census group to get the number of people with college degrees and the number of people over 65, and then in Excel generate. And in fact, if you get sophisticated enough, you can then import that back into this, and it can run a map showing you your numbers. There's a little mumbo jumbo you have to do, but it can get very sophisticated. So I'm going to be done with this particular step, and I don't want to take too long. But now we can start doing some real comparisons between Arlington Heights and Wheeling and Palatine and the different aspects here. Couple more quick reports. I'm going to do a new view. I'm going to do what's called a quick report, and I'm going to just do Arlington Heights right now. Quick reports are nice because they kind of give you a lot of information in a hurry. First of all, they give you a demographic overview of any specific area. And I could do, if I left 3 of them in here, I'd have them side by side, but it clutters up the screen a bit. But we get a nice all-in-one overview of Arlington Heights. Or I can go to the housing detail.
Did you have a question?
I was just gonna say, okay, this might be a really dumb question, but you're showing us Arlington Heights. Is this available for every city in the country?
Yes, it
Based
is.
on the
Yeah, this is a national
Yeah.
product. Yeah. This company is actually, I think they're headquartered in Texas. If I go down to Prism reports, now we start getting kind of interesting because now we're looking at those categories that were on that document that I passed around. And we can see how many people. So 84% would be considered premier urban households, which I would imagine sounds like it would make us a pretty desirable community to market to. But we could start looking for some of these other categories and see, if we're trying to draw more, we can compare those against the profiles that were in that document and start to see who do we want to market to, how would we market to them, to make them aware of our services, or if I'm a business, my products. My last thing I want to show you is, I'm going to do a new view. I'll do a time series table. And in this case, I've already got median household income. And you see it starts with 2023. I'll just take these out to avoid clutter, and I'll say done. And you can see now it's pulled in median household income back to 2010. Plus, they're starting to do projections all the way up to 2020. Yeah. So I don't know why we suddenly have a drop in 2025. I would, once again, it's not perfect. These are yeah. And I think if you notice I think the American Community Survey comes out in odd years. So I think this is, we hover over it. The community demographics data sets. So I have to do a little more of a dive to figure out why that is. And once again, a great thing is that the rep is very up to date on what the things are. So if there are ever questions about like why is there a 2022 but not a 2024, and that would be something I could ask, and I get a compelling explanation as to why that's the case. So at least they cover themselves. So once again, if you're interested in this more, certainly if you can attend the webinar tomorrow evening. If that's not an option for you, it will be recorded and made available through our site. And certainly talk to Diane Malik is probably the person who's done the most work with this in info services. I'm available to try and answer questions with it. You don't have to be an expert on it right away, but get in, muck around, play with it a little bit, see how it suits your needs as a board, see how it suits your individual needs as members of the community who may have businesses or other reasons, organizations that could get some value out of this. And feel free to explore other things on that research databases menu, because I think it's a pretty cool place to find things. So.
Again, couple questions. This is really cool. I'm probably gonna be up late tonight. But is this now? Do we just have like one license? Can unlimited amount of users go in at any time?
So this is one of the few products where we do put a we limit a number of seats.
Okay.
So there's going to be 2 simultaneous users at a time. Over the course of the use of the only product that is similar is Westlaw that we have. That's 2 simultaneous users. We've never run into a problem with that. I think this will I think easily accommodate that. If we run into trouble, we could look into upping that. But right now, at this price level, we're tough to work there.
So 2 people got it at a time.
Yeah.
Third person just get kicked out, I guess.
Yeah. And then if you can log out when you're done, or if you forget to, I think after like 15 minutes, it ends your session and opens it for somebody else to take.
So I see, I'm thinking from businesses. I see there's a lot of good like B2C type of stuff here.
Mm-hmm.
But would a business to business type of thing be up there? Is there business type, that type of information?
So when you say what types of
I don't know, somebody wants to figure out how many types of manufacturers there are, how many types that make metal cans. I don't know.
Yeah, so you can, so there, yeah, that's not bad. So there are various reports. They do have a business component to it. So let's
You don't have to go into it right now.
yeah. So there is a business directory built into it. It's built based on Dun and Bradstreet.
Okay.
information. And if you want to look at, I will say under this support, this data documentation is pretty fascinating because that's where different things are. And then even within that census, there is like census information. Like, so how many companies doing certain types of things? So I was looking mainly, yes, consumer variables or, you know, household variables, things like that. But there are, you can look up types of businesses in an area. And I would say that in conjunction with something like Reference Solutions, which also used to be known as Reference USA, those, you know, that also, those two together, that's nice for actually giving you a real list of companies. You can get between these two a lot of companies. To pull out. Yeah.
So that was the question, like, cause I've used Reference USA before, or whatever it's called now. And, you know, that's just a data dump almost when you're trying to get specifics of like how many churches are in, you know, the 5 mile radius or something.
Right.
You're trying to look, you know, and you get like an address and the name, you can get like a phone number,
Right.
you get, you know, the snail mail address. There's no emails or anything like that. What kind of, you know, this was more of like, okay, this is the percentages and whatnot, but is it, okay, like if you pulled it up with the numbers and okay, there's 23 of them, like, are you gonna get that list of 23 or you just know that there's 23 households? And they're generally in this corner of the map, you know?
I think I mouse died here. Yeah, I was going
And
to.
you don't have to show me, you can just answer.
Oh, there we go. I'm using the wrong mouse. That's why. Yeah, so if you go into the business report, you're going to get, once again, the actual Dun and Bradstreet listings for companies, which is, you know, a fairly large listing. It is going to have similar to what Reference Solutions is giving you. I don't think they're going to have email addresses. That's because these list companies guard those with their lives. So
What about like, you know, okay, I wanna talk to moms with preschoolers. Like, really, tell me like these are households.
So this is not going, this will tell you where those households are. It's going to be aggregate. It won't be specifics. Now, you may be able to, you may be able to suss some of that out of Reference Solutions.
Yeah.
So once again, you could start using this to identify, once again, if you can, and they're based once again on spending habits and likely, you know, children likely, that kind of thing. So it will generate a list of consumers that way. And you could build a mailing list out of that. This will also tell you maybe if you're trying to target based on specific areas where you can go to. So this will give you kind of one level higher than individual homes. So yeah. Yeah. Okay.
I think this is so interesting. And I am wondering, tomorrow night is sort of the first night that we're presenting this. Are there plans to market this to, business owners in Arlington Heights? Or it really struck me like there's so many nonprofits and churches.
And that's why Diane Malik is so fantastic.
Yeah.
Yes, she's been doing a lot of face-to-face playing this up, which is why I think we've got a fairly good number of registrants for tomorrow night's program already. So I think that's helping. She's keenly aware of this because she was very enthusiastic about us bringing this on. So, you know, none of my decisions to, you know, I don't actually make the ultimate decision. I make sure that it gets brought on smoothly, things like that. But, you know, everything I do, we have an electronic resources work group, and I make sure somebody wants this product and is going to, you know, and hopefully going to talk it up. So it has been in the newsletter. It has been in an email newsletter for business services. It's on the business services website as well, or webpage as well, because we can target anything listed on our research databases can be targeted to go on any number of different web pages, so we can get redundancy. So the idea is, we want to grow this through promotion, and then there's hopefully going to be a certain amount of organic growth as people sort of find it and use it. But every now and then, yeah, the idea is to make a push for it and make sure that people are hearing about it. So there could be additional programming, other ways of doing it, but it should crop up every now and again.
Well, certainly her relationship with the Chamber of Commerce
Mhm.
is super helpful, but a lot of nonprofit use. And I
Right,
think
and I'm
we
hoping that
have so
Catalina
much-
Shin has
Yeah.
also been very enthusiastic about this, and she's got that outreach look.
Yeah.
And this is this and some other tools, she's just really enthusiastic about starting to incorporate these into how she's working. So yeah, I'd love to see her as she's talking to groups, be able to talk to them. But yeah, we will talk about how else we can get that
Yeah.
to some of these organizations, because it really can support a lot of organizations'
Well,
missions.
And I'm, just today I read some pushback about something the park district's doing, and hopefully the village, if we can present or certainly make it very accessible to the people of the village and park district that are making some of those decisions to have valid data behind what they're doing. I think that's
Yeah.
really awesome. And as we bring, fundraise and purchase a new bookmobile, making sure that where we're stopping, where we're having our visits is the right place that's needed. I think, this is real data. It's just not what we think.
Yeah.
Which is wonderful.
Yeah.
Really terrific. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Anyone
Once again, I'm
else?
available for any questions anytime. So
I have one other question. The
Sure.
thing that you passed around, on the front of it, it said 2016. So,
I think that's when they developed those segments
ah,
as, yeah, so,
Okay.
yeah. So I think that those breakdowns have existed for a while. But then every time they resample their data, the numbers that actually get applied to those groups. Yeah. Okay. So, my pleasure.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Of all those high school students or Harper students, it's so much good information for them for their research. Wonderful. All right. Moving on to new business, the approval of our 2024 Illinois Public Library annual report.
Okay, so we're bringing you the completed IPLAR report for 2023 for your review. You did receive this a little bit early, since we didn't have a committee of the whole meeting, give you the opportunity to review it in depth before the meeting. But I did want to point out a couple of areas that were a little bit more substantial changes from 22 to 23. The first one, the monetary gifts and donations in 22. We reported $26,650.89. In 23, we reported $179,882.79. A big portion of that was the AV upgrade in the Hendrickson room and the donation from the Friends. And then in the other receipts, the $568,024 in 22 versus the $516,691.87 in 23. That has to do with interest income, the better market conditions, which we talked about numerous times, month to month. Then in personnel in Group D, that's full-time and part-time pages or shelvers. We did make a reduction in the budget for those positions due to the decline in circulation. So that's what you're seeing there, and a reflection of the decrease in the total hours worked in the typical week and the total FTE between the 2 years. And then for programs, we did add some kids playtime, which is a drop-in program with additional activities on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays when morning story times are scheduled. So that is showing a bump for attendance and programs. And then retrieval of electronic information had a bump, which is, 75 products shown an increase in usage, including Family Search, Newsbank, Daily Herald, and the New York Times, Libby Magazines, and ABC Mouse. So just seeing an increase in the usage of those databases. So anybody have any questions about anything else in this report?
I had a question on page 17. Maybe it was just a little printed out, but in the first chart under total, there was an extra line at the bottom, like,
It's just the way
is that
comes
just the
out.
way it's printed out? Okay. And then on the next page, I'm just curious. So on page 19, when we say number of young adult materials, loans, what would be the definition of young adult? Like, is there a specific?
Yeah, I don't know what-
An age, like.
I-
it's just 18. I don't have that in mind. Okay. Minus.
But I think in the library system, though, there's a
There's
definition for what things are young
Right,
adults, what
right.
things are adults, and probably they pull that up there.
The other one on page 21. Might be the same thing. I was just curious what the definition of wireless sessions is. Is that just when someone's at
That's
home or in the library?
when they're in the library
When
using
they're
our.
in the library.
Mhm.
Gotcha. Okay, and then on page 22, we didn't apply for the E-rate discount. Can you just explain what that means?
Yes,
Please.
so, I don't know if it's federal or state or both.
Federal.
It's federal. So they offer a discount if you meet certain criteria. One of the things is filtering of your internet, computers and Wi-Fi. And we do filter the kids' world, lightly,
Right,
but we don't filter the adult.
gotcha.
And so, the criteria for this has changed. The filters have changed over the years. We have looked at it numerous times, but we feel that we're better off leaving it open.
Gotcha. Okay, makes sense. Anyone else? Greg?
Just gonna make a motion. Board of Library Trustees approves the 2024 Illinois Public Library Annual Report for 2023.
We have second?
Second.
May I have a roll call, please?
Trustee Burrell,
Yes.
trustee Gallo,
Yes.
trustee Kelly.
Aye.
Trustee Meadow.
Yes.
Trustee Rule,
Yes.
trustee Zick,
Yes.
president Tamari.
Hi. Looking at all those numbers is really impressive. I was like, wow, I mean,
Doing a lot.
we do a lot, for sure. All right, any other news?
I do have one other, just wanted to make you guys aware that the lockers are available now to the public. They are north entrance and the floor, right outside the sliding doors. Our staff have worked pretty extensively on this, to develop all the procedures in-house. And then we did have a period where the lockers were open to certain staff to be able to use for testing. It's gone very well. Huge thank you to all the staff involved with this project. It's been great. And so it's now open to the public. We're doing kind of a soft rollout with it, not advertising it too heavily right now, but it is showing up. If you go to the catalog, you will not have a new hold location. That is the 24/7 pickup lockers, and there's an ADA selection as well. So if you select the ADA pickup lockers, it's the same lockers, but it's only the lockers in the middle of the unit. So they meet the requirements of ADA height. So just wanted to kind of give you guys an update on that. So that is open to the public, and so we'll be advertising that more and more over the next couple months. We'll start with social media posts, and then it will be a major story in our newsletter, I think in April, right? Yeah. Yeah.
Is there any, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory, right? So I mean, there isn't any like, direction or any needed, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just thinking like
Yeah.
how they would know.
Yeah. Yeah, we do have a page on the website that walks you through how to use them. But you walk up to them and there's just one button, it's checkout, and then it says scan your card. You scan your card, it brings up your holds, and you hit accept, and then the door pops open, you take your stuff, close the door, and you're done. Yeah, it checks out automatically and everything. So they're pretty slick.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can you use if you have your library barcode on your phone, can you use that?
Yes. Yeah, we recommend that you turn the brightness up if it's just like a photo.
Yeah.
It scans easier that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've done quite a bit of testing on that, and it does seem to be works well with it.
Wonderful.
And you said it's already
Yeah.
checked out or it will.
It will check out when the door pops open, then it checks out the items to you.
Okay.
So
Great.
yeah, so if you don't pick them up, they won't be checked out to you. They'll just go
Okay.
back.
How
Nice.
long will they be left in the lockers? Is it just? like
3 full
like
days,
drive in?
just like at the drive up or at the express shops. Pickup shelves. Yeah.
Which manufacturer did you
We went with DTEC.
detect?
Yeah.
Mike, just out of curiosity, like what happens if too many people are trying to use the lockers? Does it like not allow that option or?
No, the option will remain. The item it won't be placed in the locker until a locker is available. So it will either be in transit or it just won't show up on your record until it's ready to go in the locker. Or the locker,
Oh, okay.
and then
Gotcha.
it'll go into the locker and then it'll notify you.
Cool. Very exciting.
So a big thank you to Gallagher Insurance who sponsored this. This was a very generous donation by them. They covered the whole cost of the locker system. So it's fantastic. Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
I checked out Kids World again. I mean, I always walk through there when I come in, but it was busy when we were coming up. And I also checked out the restroom and the wellness room, and they look great. So
Fantastic. Good.
good. Do you have any casual update on construction or anything? I mean, Kids World, we got that one piece of furniture a little bit late. Are we totally done now?
There were, I think, 1 or 2 punch list items they were finishing up, but we're totally wrapped up
Yeah.
with construction and everything. Yeah, we've been wrapped up for a while. We pretty much just had a couple minor things. One of the things was more of there's a panel on the wall. As you walk into the entrance, if you go into the tween space and turn to the right, there's like a colored panel that we put up. It was peeling off the wall. So that was one of the things that's still outstanding. They're going to replace that. Just things like that are, just after the fact, living in the space a little bit. But no, it's gone great.
Sarah?
You finished. I just had one other, just that, my daughter's junior Girl Scout troop was able to use the Maker Place. They did work with the staff and contracted an outside kids chef, and so they loved it. The kids had their own chef hats, and they got to actually make stuff and watch the presenter and use the TV. So it was really a successful event, and they all, I guess my daughter was not able to make it. She was sick that day. So I know, but I kindly the other people sent me. I got to see. I heard that the kids all went home and they made their calzones and they made their like dessert pop. So parents and guardians were very excited too because they got meals made too.
Really?
They knew what they were doing.
And
So
That's
it
great.
was a
social
great,
media, colorful social media.
it was a great opportunity. So
Fantastic.
thanks
That's great
to
to
the
hear.
staff that worked with them.
Diane Murphy right there. She's the one who's organizing that.
Yeah,
So
no, they
thank you.
enjoyed it. It was great. So thank you.
Good. All right. Anything else? No. May I have a motion to adjourn?
And move to adjourn.
Second. Second. All right. All in favor? Thank you.